Hello. Are we late? Yeah.
On the table.
Working with musicians. We're going to be late. It says tight Instagram. Are we on Instagram now, Danny?
I'm sorry?
You can see we're on the computer to your right. Are we live?
This one?
Yep.
I don't, the Instagram, I don't see.
Oh.
Yeah.
What's that called? You said clap slap?
This right here would be 4 on the floor. If you're going like clap, 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 if you're hitting every single one that's on the floor, but a more traditional feel with that ballad strum that we're doing.
Live video. Here we go.
So you go 1.
Could someone tell me if we're live right now? Yeah, I see waves. Good. Hi, Amy. Help me out. I'm the most technically proficient person in the room, so we're in trouble. Good. I see lots of waves. Hi, Lonnie. All right. I'm going to put you on Facebook now. Good Lord.
You okay? You want to go with that?
Oh, I'm fine.
Okay.
I've been quarantined every day for the last month.
Okay.
Going to go live.
You got a regular call then?
No, I just put it on the wrong way.
Oh, okay. Let's look down the wrong way. Oh, we're live. Let me shut up.
It says Andrew Photo switch. Should I switch?
Now we should be on Facebook there, Danny?
Let's see.
Such fun.
Ooh, let's have fun tonight. Whatever. At all costs.
I'll just... How are we doing there?
Congratulations.
Did it say David Crowd's now live?
I think it's trying to reach it. I think.
Okay.
Let's see.
If not, check your phone. You have
Yeah.
Facebook, Instagram?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry.
Hey, everybody. Whew. Always fun with me and tech. Betty Smith right here. Hi, everybody. Curtis J back there. Yes. Thank you for joining us. We're going to get started here in 1 minute. I think we are good on Facebook and Insta. Yeah, I see people watching and people waving. Last Dragon. Oh, Nicole. What's up, girl? Let's do this. Where's my drink? Wait, I can't do that with a drink. Hold on. So maybe this will come up on Instagram Live or Facebook Live on a computer. My stupidness. They're definitely up and running, so.
Good.
Okay. Yeah, check on your phone.
Yeah.
All right. I need my book. Still see Curtis back there? I moved to the other side, Curtis. There you are. Hi, buddy. Yeah, I see Betty, right? All right. Let's do this. Thank you all for coming. I should have said that earlier, if I didn't already. I'm really excited. Before I tell you what we have planned for tonight in more detail, let me first just wish you well. I hope everyone's doing okay. I know that we've been all through a tremendous year, but things are looking better. We have a president-elect who's not insane. We have a vaccine that seems to be finding its way into people's arms. And most importantly, I think, as a sign of good things to come, is that Lori Loughlin's out of prison. That's right. Uncle Jesse's wife from Full House is no longer behind bars. And I think there's a lot of to take in that as far as a positive sign, if there ever was one. I just couldn't, deal with her and the clink. And I have a new book. I mean, talk about miracles, right? This book is published today, officially today. And I appreciate you coming to help celebrate with me. I mean, obviously under normal circumstances, we'd be doing this in person, but then again, that would limit us just to the New York crowd, or the New York area crowd. So I'm kind of excited about the options that technology presents us with in order to share this news with you all. The book is, as I mentioned, available today. You can get it at Amazon, your local bookstore if you want to support them, Barnes & Noble, of course. Directly from the publisher, Black Rose Writing. However you want to get it, I just encourage you to get it. Right? We, artists like us, we need your love. We work hard on these things to connect with you. We hope that you can reciprocate with a little bit, of your attention to our work. This book is my 4th novel. It is a noir, a sequel to my 2nd book, which was called Attleboro Blues, a Brooklyn Mystery. That's this. This book follows the trials and the travails, I should say, of the character named Caesar Styles, who's half Irish, half Sicilian, haunted by a family curse, who runs away from his northern New Jersey hometown at the age of 15, rambles around America for about 10 years, comes home to aid his dying mother, who informs him that the family has a curse on them, and it's his job to break that curse. He ends up living in Brooklyn, where he renovates a home in a traditionally African-American neighborhood where he finds himself immersed in a mystery. At the end of the book, he decides to leave Brooklyn and cross back over this bridge, not the Brooklyn Bridge, but this bridge, the George Washington Bridge, to his hometown, where he buys the only inn that the town has and refurbishes it and hopes to write his family's course. It doesn't work out that way, of course, or there wouldn't be a book here. The book takes place in a fictionalized version of my hometown of Glen Rock, New Jersey, and the book is dedicated to the townsfolk of Glen Rock, and particularly the families Mangini, Ferrari, and O'Shea. I'm going to read to you a few passages from it tonight, a little bit more than I normally read because it's a big event, and we have company, and I got to entertain them as well. I'll read the prologue to get you set up with the sense of where this is going, then I'll explain, I'll transition us to the next passages, and then Betty and Curtis and I are going to play a couple of songs, and then I'm going to go make some dinner while they finish up their set, okay? So it should be a fun night. I think we'll probably be here for like an hour. I encourage you to join us in a cocktail or a beverage of your choice, and cook along if you want. We're making fried lamb chops tonight. If you happen to have lamb chops laying around, I say you break them out. Or just come over. You can't come over. Okay. Black Irish Blues. Oh, my bad. I must thank the publisher, Black Rose Writing. Thanks to Reagan and Justin and Christopher and David, all the great work they do, and everyone else there, Black Rose, and all the other fellow writers there for their support. We do this all together, and it's great. It's quite a pleasure. Prologue. The trouble with Dinny Tuitt began with the 2 martini rule. It was an axiom of sorts about drinking and limits, shared often by my mother, that I thought to share with Dinny Tuitt, who was sitting on 2 martinis, thinking about a third. He'd come into my barroom on an autumn afternoon. The plantation shades were slanted over the wide windows that faced the west, and the fuzzy sunshine slatted the planks to fill the dark room with diffuse light. Dinny ordered a straight-up, bone-dry, Stoli martini, no olives. He had a way of speaking I couldn't make, slick but mannered, unusual like his name. He kept his money on the bar in a chrome clip and wore a sharp suit tailored to his lithe frame. He was young, about my age, late 20s but all grown up. Troubled actor handsome, a dimple in his chin and an active Adam's apple, a head of flowing black hair and green eyes. They called his type Black Irish back when I was a kid, back when there were a lot more Irish descendants in this town. And though I hadn't been around in a dozen years or so, I knew he wasn't from around here at all. Not from the first generation Irish or Italians who raised their kids in the trappings of 1970s lower middle class suburbia, Catholic schools and police athletic leagues and CYO, and 2 weeks every summer at the Jersey Shore or someplace upstate, at least for some. It wasn't like that for me and mine at all. Our family was a disaster. I was the youngest son of no good Timothy Styles and his tragic Italian wife, refugees both from the Bronx and victims of a cursed ancestry. They had 3 boys, 2 dead now, with the last one, me, responsible in some way for the respective deaths of both brothers. And I'd run away from this town at the age of 15 because of the first and good brother dying, and I was back and free all these years later because of the very recent death of the other one, which didn't bother me at all. I spent the years away rambling around America, hopping trains and hitching rides, cooking or tending bar or building houses, never in one place for too long, except the years just spent in Brooklyn, close enough to home in northern New Jersey, but not too close, until it was safe to move back into the abandoned house I'd grown up in and buy my hometown's only inn to refurbish and redeem and make my own, and hopefully end my family's curse. I bought the place in the spring and shut it down as the heat arrived, spending the summer sweating through my clothes in the undertaking of a massive gutting and rehab that turned a forever dingy watering hole with crap food and the ancient stench of broken drunks, including my own father, into a respectable establishment with plenty of light, a welcoming atmosphere, and damn good things to eat. We'd reopened a few weeks after Labor Day, and I dedicated most of my time to operations in the kitchen. I left the bar to the old schooler who'd worked there since nearly before I was born 28 years earlier. Richie, the bartender, after his first summer off since quitting high school at age 16, had enjoyed his long days reading Raymond Chandler novels and lounging around his cottage by Greenwood Lake, just across the border into New York State. He talked about not coming back to work at all after feeling his body recover from 40 years standing behind a bar, first in his native Bronx and then here. Richie agreed to stay on for shortened hours, a no-smoking rule anywhere within the premises, 2 nights a week off, and whatever he wanted from my new menu, whether he was working or not. The afternoon that I met Denny Tuitt, Richie was on the schedule to tend, and he sat at the end of the bar in the natural light, immersed in savory aroma and mopping up the sauce of the chicken dish he'd ordered for the second evening in a row. Rind thighs, broiled and covered in a sauce bright with lemon, olive oil, garlic, and oregano. Richie was the only one in the joint, besides me and Denny Tuitt, who was sitting on 2 martinis, thinking about a third. You know what my mother used to say about martinis, I asked him? He set his green eyes on me, and they pulsed for a beat before he decided to engage the tall stranger behind the bar in a white t-shirt with lank brown hair pulled into a tight ponytail and a large German knife paused from dicing fruit. We locked eyes until a small smile creased his face and he spoke in a bemused tone. No, tell me, he said. What'd your mother used to say about martinis? I put the knife down, wiped my hands, and leaned into the bar toward the man who needed to know the 2 martini rule. They're like boobs, I said. 1's not enough, but 3 are too many. His face went to work registering the comment. Squints and smirks and tilts to both sides as he tried to figure out if he'd been insulted or enlightened. It was like waiting for a slot machine to reveal its outcome, and I could tell this guy had a lot of potential outcomes, coiled and complex beneath the preternatural ease. He sniffed, straightened on his stool, and I sensed an insult for me, possibly one that involved my mother, and that would be bad. Richie cleared his throat and made some music with his silverware and plate. Denny Tuitt looked down at him and nodded before setting his eyes back on me, just as I spun the big knife handle 3 times around my palm and buried the blade into a wooden cutting board. The 5:45 commuter train rolled into the station with a loud blast of its horn. Know how to use a knife? He asked me. I do. Cut some people? I have. He nodded and breathed through his nose, looked down at Richie, and then back at me again. And where are you from? I asked him. South Philly, he answered. I removed the blade from the cutting board, checked for damage to the tip. Denny Tuitt cleared his throat. You're the guy. You're the guy they've been talking about, he said. The runaway, who came back and fixed this place up. I am, I said. Did a nice job, he said. Thanks. Why? He asked. Why what? Why would you want to come back here, he asked. This town sucks. You don't say, I said. He polished off his drink and put the glass in front of me. I put it to the side. Denny Tuitt sucked his teeth and stood to leave. Your mother. With her rule about martinis. She's dead, right? Yeah, I said, feeling the sear of clever cruelty and the ache of sorrow. Thought so, he said. Denny Tuitt pulled a Marlboro Light from the inside of his suit jacket, banged the filter thrice on the bar, then tucked it between 2 long fingers. I waited for a match to appear before having to inform him that smoking was no longer allowed anywhere on the premises, though I gathered he knew that already by the way he checked with Richie before eyeballing me until his face softened and the intensity in his eyes receded. He slipped the smoke behind his ear, pulled a crisp 20 from his clip, and dropped it down on a $12 tab. Sorry about your mother, he said, straight up. I watched him glide out the door. Richie took his plate to the kitchen and came behind the bar, tying his signature red apron over the rounded midriff of his white dress shirt over black slacks. The downy white hair still left on his head slicked back above his ears. And what's his story? I asked Richie. Good question, Richie said with a huff, the hard scrabble of the Bronx still present in his throat. Name's Denny Tuitt, married to one of the Donahue girls. I remember the Donahue girls. 4 blondes, each 2 years apart, with smiling eyes and easy laughs. The kind of girls that owned every room they were in. The kind of girls made for cheerleader outfits and wedding dresses, stars of high school yearbooks. The kind of girls that made all kinds of boys do stupid, stupid shit. Which one he'd marry, I asked. The one with shit-tasting men, Richie said. He come in a lot, I asked him. On occasion, always about this time, catches a decent buzz and splits before the regulars show up. Do trouble, I asked. Not really. Just that he don't, fit in, that's all. Black Irish, I said. Don't see them very much anymore. More black than Irish, Richie said with another huff. What's that mean, I asked him. You'll see, he said and started racking glasses. I looked at the spot where Denny Tuitt had sat and tried to make sense of what Richie just said. All I knew was that I didn't like it. Not the casual racism, nor the caustic implication. But Richie was right about one thing. I'd be finding out about Denny Tuitt, though I'd never see him in my bar again. Okay, so that's the prologue. That sets this narrative in motion. Clearly, we're going to have a situation involving this guy, Denny Tuitt. What I like to do with my noirs, at least, is have multiple plot lines, right? Instead of having like a whodunit or some sort of thriller or suspense thing, with some assassin who has amnesia or something. I like to have like regular people doing regular things, and to have the plot more interesting, I like to have things intersect. What's going to happen here, the intersection here is going to take place, without me giving it away, between the situation with Denny Tuitt and also Caesar's dead brother, the one that just passed away, the one he didn't care about dying, right? And trust me, he's bad, so he shouldn't care. But that situation involves what Caesar believes to be some sort of payback. He's fearful that his brother's friends from town, the gang he used to run with, right, knows that Caesar was involved in his death and might come looking for him. And they do. There's a scene I won't read you, but I'll read you the subsequent scene where one of the guys from town, from the brother's old gang, sets him up at a party. He has him lured outside by a stripper. Remember, this is noir. Bad things happen. By a stripper, and while they're engaged outside, so to speak, they jump him from behind with a tire iron, etc., and the guy runs off. So Caesar's looking for him. The main person that Caesar's looking to sort of read is this guy named Huey Daniels, his older brother's closest friend who owns the garage in town, the mechanic shop, right across from the inn. So this next scene involves when Caesar walks into that garage to check on his buddy, and he ends up seeing the guy named Funk, Tommy Funk, who jumped him. I called on Huey one afternoon. I hadn't seen him around. His garage had been closed more than open as of late. It was raining, cold and sideways, a little fog setting over the sunken town along with the early shade of shorter days in middle October. I'd been working on trays of meatloaf all afternoon and a poached garlic sauce to ladle on top. I covered a piece, minus the sauce, on a plate with tin foil, tilted up the collar of my jean jacket, and tucked the shoulder into the wind as I crossed the street through the headlights of passing cars. "And how are you, Huey?" I asked, entering into the shelter of his open garage. "Oh, hey, C," he said, turning from his work under an elevated Chevy, a light hanging from the axle. Huey looked worn and frumpier than usual. "You all right?" I asked. "I hadn't seen you around." "Yeah, well," he said, scratching some neck between his greasy overall. "Been taking some time off." "Brought you some meatloaf," I said. "Thanks," he said, and motioned with his head toward a steel cart where I balanced the plate on top of some wrenches. "You can come eat any time, I said with a shrug toward the inn. "On me." "Thanks," he said, though I knew I'd never see him. The inn, even before I bought it and fixed her up, was a symbol of change that didn't involve the likes of greasy Huey Daniels. He had that hangdog, defeated countenance, like my father when he was out of work, or on the booze, or in his black dog days. Huey and I looked at each other for a moment, unsure of what else to say, when the door to the office opened and through it stepped Tommy Funk. "Now hold on a second," Huey said, but Tommy Funk bolted out the open garage before the sentence finished. I was after him in an instant. One of Huey's larger wrenches clutched in my right hand. Funk took the corner away from the inn and bolted up the town's main road. The rain lashed at my face and dampened my hair as I stomped my boots on Funk's trail. I peeled off my jean jacket without slowing down and left it on the sidewalk in front of the Five and Dime. Pedestrians jumped out of the way and surely had never seen such a pursuit through the business section of their quiet town. Two long-haired freaks, looking like they fell out of 1979, chasing past the storefronts, lit up for business before supper time on a rainy autumn weeknight in a quaint commuter town. The warning bells by the tracks went off and the wooden gates came ding, ding, dinging down. The road inclined toward the tracks, and I gained on Tommy Funk as the exertion took a toll on his slight body, compromised by Marlboro cigarettes and other bad habits. I could hear myself breathing hard too, a smoker myself, but a moderate one at that, and the taker of regular exercise and good eating habits. Careful to dodge the pedestrians whose innocent paths we crossed. They seemed to be popping out from between cars and out of storefronts like a video game. Slow in my pursuit, though I was able to angle around them all until the commercial stretch ended and I was 20 yards behind Tommy Funk with the tracks just ahead. A train whistle blew, and a locomotive barreled through, trailed by a chain of industrial freighters rattling the eastbound tracks toward the city. The freight cars were forest green, almost black in the dreary light, red warning markers evident on each oblong berth. My jeans were now stuck to my legs, and lifting them became an effort. My t-shirt stuck to my skin, my lungs burned, but I focused on my breath that pumped from my chest in vaporous plumes and held tight to the thought of putting the fear of God into that motherfucker who had the balls to attack me from behind in the middle of a bad blowjob. A voice in the back of my head urged me to stop, to let it go for now, to remember that Cha-Cha Porter would catch up with Tommy Funk soon anyway, and maybe I'd help that along. But the sight of that fuckhead set me off, and I was more offended by that surprise beating outside of the athletic club than I had recognized. I was also more drawn to violence than I'd like to admit. Tommy Funk turned down the near tracks and ran next to the freighter along the open railroad ties. I cut that way, but stayed on the sidewalk that led to the platform where a few people waited under the metal overhang for commuters from the city. A little boy held his mother's hand. On better surface and in better shape, I gained quickly on Tommy Funk. It was almost even when I reached the platform and the freighters out ahead pulled away toward a bend in the distance. "Heads up!" I yelled to the backs that were facing the city, waiting for the whistle blow. As they turned, they saw Tommy Funk run past and then me, hot on his heels, burning past to the end of the platform when another whistle blew in the distance and I jumped off the platform onto the back of Tommy Funk. We thudded down together, and I used as much of his skinny body as I could to break my fall with extreme prejudice. He made a moan of some sort, of fatigue and anguish that gusted out of him like a last breath. Someone screamed as I turned Tommy Funk over and reared back with the wrench, the pain flashing across my chest and my knees that bore into the large gravel rocks between the tracks and the ties. All was silent for a lovely moment until a train whistle blew in a frantic staccato, joined by a mechanical and metallic screech, and then a collision of immense force. The first sounds were of impact and twisting metal, but I ignored it. Tommy Funk covered his face as the wrench landed across his forearms and an explosion erupted in the distance. I looked down the tracks and a ball of flame rose through the mist and above the trees beyond the bend. I could smell the gas immediately as it blossomed into flame and then evaporated into dark clouds. The people on the platform gasped. There was silence for a frozen moment as black and blue smoke billowed and panic ensued. I ground Tommy Funk face into the gravel as I climbed off of him. He scurried away and limped off as observers hesitantly made down the tracks toward the explosion. The rain lashed at my back and wind fingered my wet hair. My breath came deep and steady as I turned and walked away, against the current of bystanders and first responders. Sirens whirled and spun colors that reminded me of the markings on the side of the dark freighters. It must have collided with the 515 on that dangerous bend I knew all too well. My brother Angie had died there, the seminal event of my childhood, and would have sent me away from home all those years ago. I was not walking down towards that bend in the tracks where my worst memories and regular nightmares lived in a hollow that I'd never escaped. Down the sidewalk, I felt like a river fish going the wrong way as the townspeople came out of their cars and the shops to investigate what was happening by the tracks. They brushed my shoulders in their haste, but I kept my eyes straight ahead and tried not to run back to the shelter of the inn as sirens wailed from various directions. I picked up my jean jacket from the sidewalk and put it over my head like a veil to protect from the rain, but mostly to be anonymous as the town reacted and I chose retreat. Inside the front vestibule of the inn, I passed the waitresses and Santi who had gathered and ignored their inquiry, and I ignored their inquiry as to what had happened. The barroom was empty, except for a solitary figure in a black turtleneck and jeans on a bar stool at the far end. "Hello, Caesar," she asked. "Remember me?" My heart underneath a cold, wet t-shirt was everywhere at once. Brandy Redfern was my brother Angie's high school girlfriend and my image of nubile, rebellious beauty. A copperhead in cut-off shorts and concert tees, a girl from a Tom Petty song. A kid of divorce, she'd moved up from Florida and connected with Angie right away. She sat on his lap or rode on his back on their way to the hills to smoke joints and have sex. She was the last person besides me to see Angie alive. There'd been a fight outside the town pool late in August, the summer I was 15. A better-off kid from the other side of town had gotten the best of Angie in a fight, and this wasn't supposed to happen. Well, I wasn't that surprised, as Angie had been sullen and distracted of late. After the fight, he took off on his motorbike, but I stuck around to enact some revenge with great emphasis. A little later, I found Angie near our hang-up beside the railroad tracks, among the abandoned cars. He and Brandy were arguing with great animation, but I couldn't hear what they were saying. She seemed to be pleading, grabbing at his forearms, which he would yank away. I was about 50 yards away when he slapped her in the face and took off running down the tracks. I chased him down the tracks and up the gravel embankment, around the bend where I caught him on a narrow ridge that snaked alongside a junkyard with a high cyclone fence, covered in tarp and topped in barbed wire. I knew what he was doing. He was running away. He talked about it for years, of going out to California or somewhere out west, where he'd work with his hands and escape all the madness of our town and our home. Angie was our shining prince, and there was immense pressure on him to keep things together. I knew he had cracked that day, and that he was not coming back. I just wanted him to stay or take me with him, and I held him down on that ridge for dear life until a train whistle blew. I eased off Angie to wait for the danger to pass. We didn't even walk on that ridge when trains went by, but he wrestled away and kicked me in the face. Stunned by his violence and aware of the danger, I paused in my thoughts of pursuit of Angie, as Angie scrambled away down the ridge, looking frantically over his shoulder when the train came into view and a guard dog hit the fence, startling Angie and sending him down the gravel slope and into the path of the oncoming train. I'd be the one to run away soon after that. And the last time I saw Brandy Redfern was when I'd run past her on the train tracks where she had a hand on her cheek. And now she was in my bar, asking if I remembered her. I did not speak. "It's so nice to see you," she said, still with a drop of honey in her accent. She'd put on a good amount of weight, especially around her hips and chin, and her hair had gone a little dry. But all of her beauty was still there, emanating out of her like it always had, visceral and hypnotic, like the sirens who drove seaworthy ships into the cliffs, though Brandy Redfern was a being of benevolent beauty. Being around her made you fall in rhythm with her breath and crave her attention. All of us had loved her, I believed. "Hi," I said. People started pouring into the inn, looking for a place to drink and gather and make sense of the unfolding tragedy. "Can I be of help?" Brandy asked. So what happens is that people start pouring into the inn, right? Making sense of this big train wreck on the tracks where the freighter was full of natural gas, ran into a commuter train and it exploded. What we figure out here, as people start pouring into the bar, is that they believe Denny Hewitt is one of the people that was killed in the train wreck. Right? His wife, one of the Donaghy girls, comes in and is clearly upset by the news. She believes her husband took that train every day. And this is where the mystery starts. That people believe that he's not really dead. He just used it as an excuse to escape. After Brandy and Caesar, that's the main character, I forgot to say his name, Caesar Stiles, take care of all the business, they're alone at the bar again together. We stayed open late, though the crowds dwindled as the night wore on. The damage was massive, with wreckage all over the tracks and into the nearby woods, but the topography around the bend didn't lend itself to home building, so the damage was contained to the tracks and the woods. The rain kept the flames from an inferno in the pines. The body count was unclear as the first few cars in the commuter were smithereens of metal and glass. Bone and flesh and blood, too. We'd have to wait for the missing persons to count the dead. I couldn't stop thinking about that little boy holding his mother's hand, waiting for his father. Brandy stuck around till closing, and we were the last two in the bar room when she blew the wavy bangs from her forehead and settled on the stool. Those poor people, she sighed. God. Care for a drink? I asked her. She pursed her lips into a rosebud and nodded 3 times. Whiskey? She nodded again. I chalked a cocktail glass with iced chips and filled it with 2 fingers of wild turkey. I made myself the same, and we sipped whiskey in silence till our glasses were only ice. Hungry? I asked her. She chuckled a little bit and bounced on her seat. You just asked me my all-time favorite question. Any requests? Really, anything would be nice at this point, she said. I'll be right back, I told her, and headed for the kitchen. Is there a phone I could use? She called to my back. I pointed to the one hanging on the wall by the waitress station, the one that had been ringing all night but was never answered. The kitchen was a veritable display of perishables. A restaurant owner's nightmare is a full kitchen at night's end. It's a tough business when your product has a shelf life, but I like the inherent risk in that, the gamble of sorts. Besides, I've been on the winning side of things nearly every night since opening, and I was hungry on this night not to be sold out of our best offerings at this late hour. I was happy, I should say, on this night not to be sold out of our best offerings at this late hour under these circumstances. Santi had refrigerated all the unused menu items, and inside the reach-in was enough food for a family reunion. The hotel pan full of raw lamb chops inspired me to make a dish I used to regularly serve a lovely reverend and her deacons who had befriended me back in Brooklyn. The reverend and her deacons had come up from the American South as well, like Brandy, and I knew those bells had a taste for all things fried. I also thought some reverence to religion was appropriate on this night. I cranked up the gas on the deep fryer and seasoned the chops on a clean cutting board. I quartered 2 lemons with great efficiency. I set up a station of flour, egg, and breadcrumbs in 3 deep dishes right next to the fryer, which with wet hand, dry hand technique were visited by each lamb chop and dropped in the fryer where they sizzled for 2 minutes. I shook the basket and dropped the finished chops on a platter lined with paper towels where they were seasoned with salt and turned onto the ceramic belly of the platter and adorned with generous squeezes of lemon that sizzled on the crusty golden surface. Well, shit, Brandy said when I walked back into the bar room with a stacked platter of fried lamb chops. You did all that just now? I would have made an anchovy sauce for the side, but that would take too long. Brandy wrinkled her nose at the idea of anchovy sauce, but I assured her it was good. If you say so, she said, leaning over the platter of chops that filled the room with the smell of cooked meat and fried coating. Oh, I forgot plates and stuff, I said, and made for the back. Don't even bother, she interrupted me, pulling a chop from the platter and biting into it. I love that moment of watching someone react to food you've made especially for them. Her eyes went wide and, oh my God, she said through a full mouth, which released some heat and garbled words. So good. I gave her a clean bar rag to wipe her mouth and pulled a bottle of Chianti Classico from the rack to fill 2 goblets with ruby red nectar. We sat and ate and drank in the music of moans and laughs and chortles conjured by good food and pleasant company. The wine washed away the mouthfeel, tantalizing the taste buds with new, complementary flavors and clearing the way to begin the experience again. At one point, Brandy smacked me hard in the shoulder and let a peal of laughter rip through the room. When the platter was empty and the wine was gone, I fetched a bottle of grappa and poured us 2 small glasses. I was thinking of how perfect an evening can be with a cocktail followed by a savory meal with perfect wine and a digestif at the end. A sense of wellness and serenity settled over me, interrupted by a big breath and the flushed and precious face of Brandy Redfern. So, she said, as her face reddened and her eyes welled, we need to talk. About what? I asked. Well, she said, taking a deep breath and letting it out of her nose, for starters, you have a nephew, and he's 11 years old. All right. So that sets up another sort of thread that Caesar has a nephew, is his dead brother Angie's son, and obviously Brandy's the mother. So Caesar had now his family, which he didn't think he had any more of. He's got this mystery ensuing with the Diddy to It thing, and also the situation involving his bad brother who's dead, and the revenge that would be directed towards him. I won't give any more away. I did read that scene about the nephew because I wanted to introduce it, but also because that lamb chop dish is what I'm making tonight. Right? It's over there on the counter. I'm going to show it to you in a minute. After Betty and Curtis finish their set, I will demonstrate how to make a couple of quick chops. If you were on my mailing list, I know I owe you an apology. Right? right? I sent out a mailing about this reading last week. I plan on making the chicken dish that Richie was eating at the bar in the beginning scene, the one that's buried in garlic and olive oil and oregano and lemon, of course. But I realized in planning this event, it'd be just too hard for me to get through all the steps of that dish. If you want to make that dish, though, and you don't want to be mad at me, you can make it tonight as well. Just go to Relish, the website, the magazine Relish. So go Google Relish, right? Lemon chicken thighs. That's my recipe, right? They didn't put my name on it for some forgotten reason, but that's my recipe, right? It's lemon chicken thighs at Relish, the website, and it's right there waiting for you. If you want to make the lamb chops some other night, besides tonight, just go to Men's Journal, right? And put in my name. They did give me credit, thanks to them. Or just Google why you should fry your lamb chops, Men's Journal. What a great title, Why You Should Fry Your Lamb Chops. That's what we got. Okay, so that ends the reading portion of the evening. Black Irish Blues is available for sale. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, you know the routine, right? If you want to read the prequel to it, Out of Our Blues, yes. And where I'm heading next with this series, by the way, in case you're curious, is a trip down to the Bayou for the third installment, which I'll get to at some point. Everything okay? Is that good or what?
Very good.
Yeah, a lot of training and stuff too, right? Thank you for your patience. We're going to play a couple songs. Well, they're going to play a set. I'm going to sit on the first couple songs with them. I know. I'm not a musician. I don't pretend to be. I know what real musicians, who they are, what they look like, but I happen to like music, right? And I can play okay. And I was thinking all this time, like, I want to play, right? And I'm not going to do that anymore, right? It's like, no, I don't want to do that. I'm just going to do things, right? And take chances and put myself out there and see what happens, right? So we're going to do that here. So if the quality of the first two songs isn't up to the remaining songs, so I apologize in advance, but these are my friends and they can handle it, right? You're my friends too, right? And it's my house. Let me introduce Betty Smith. I met Betty at the Bowery Ballroom. Woo! I met Betty at the Bowery Ballroom in the summer of 2018. I was seeing Low Cut Kind with my buddy Big Joe Spallone, and we were drinking beers in the bar room, and he said, let's see the opening act. All right. We walk out through the bar room to the split, and there's Betty in a canary dress, right? Boots and hair and a boa, and I was like, oh my God! And she was kicking my favorite Etta James song, Tell Mama. I fell in love instantly with her music. Right? I was mesmerized. If you look at my Instagram feed, you'll see pictures from that night back in the summer of 2018. I ran into Curtis at the bar later that night. I didn't remember this or not. And I was like, where are you? I bought a CD from Betty backstage. She was really sweet, but she was also busy. I ran into Curtis at the bar next door. And I was like, where are you guys from? Like Memphis? He's like, no, we're from Brooklyn. We live in Brooklyn. Betty's born and raised in Brooklyn. Are you kidding me, right? The next day I looked up Betty on her found her website, wrote to her. She wrote me back. We got together for brunch. And we've been having brunch and meals ever since, right? We are friends. We're neighbors and friends. Betty and her whole band, not Curtis, who was at a wedding that night, played my Cucina Tipica book release party at Littlefield in 2018 in October. It was amazing. They're phenomenal. And we've maintained our friendship ever since. We go out to eat at Stella's Caribbean here in Brooklyn, or we go and drink spritzes at the Italian places I like as well. And we're just pals. And she agreed to do this tonight as a favor to me. And I thank her so much. Her new album, right here, look at her record, right? Is phenomenal. Right? This is one of the best records of 2020, not just according to me, not my little top 10 list. Lots of people's top 10 lists. This album is outrageously good. You can download it, you can buy the CD, you can get the album, of course, itself. It's called The Good, The Bad, and The Betty, which is also the best title of an album this year as well. It was produced by Matt Patton of Drive By Truckers down at their studios in Mississippi. She has a new 3-record deal with Roof Records. So it's like rough, but it's pronounced Roof. I'm going to keep holding this. Out of Germany, a legendary blues and soul record label out of Germany. So Betty's career is about to go through the roof, and she's probably not going to hang out with me anymore. I'm taking as much advantage as possible. She's just a phenomenal talent, and I really highly recommend you pick up this album. Her debut album, Jetlagger, is another great album, produced by Jimbo Mathis of the Squirrel Nut Zippers, right? And it's just, she just does amazing work. She's a talent, a beautiful soul, and I'm happy to call her my friend. Now I'm going to stop talking.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm going to put this right underneath my Christmas tree.
That's beautiful. I'll autograph it for you later.
Sweet. Step right on up. If you would, I'm going to sit down here.
I'm going to start out with Don't Skip Out on Me, written by Mr. Volotin from Oregon, Portland, Oregon.
Okay, can you see us behind you on the screens there?
Yeah, I can.
You both me first?
Yes, I can. Don't skip out without taking me. Don't skip out. Don't skip out on me. Well, I know you think has just some liability, but I can carry my own weight. Just don't skip out on me. The bus from Tacopa Park, well, it can take my money too. I got an aunt in California. She's always promised me a room, yeah. Just don't run out on me while I'm sleeping. My guts ain't right and my health's been failing. Something to, yeah. I can't keep both eyes open. Oh, it's getting harder and harder. Don't skip out on me. Don't skip out on me. Thank you, Curtis Brewer. Mr. Carter.
My shoes too. Got them.
Yeah.
sinner.
Sinner, okay. This one's called I'm a Sinner. Written by Tyler Keith of Mississippi.
That's it, I'm giving up rights, I'm going to... Thank you all very much. We're going to continue this set while I go make some fried lamb chops, and I'll show you the very last step and how to make them, or the last batch of them, in a few minutes. Okay. Take it away, guys.
Whistle stop sound right?
We're going to do the next song I wrote, which is Whistle Stop. And I wrote this song for my mom before she passed away. You don't know how hard it's been, just don't know how crazy I feel. Came to me, oh, before you left. Our lives laid over our library. trouble. Yes, I had these impressions. I never had a look. Thanks for coming to visit. I hope you find a peaceful rest. Find the strength to forgive you and all right regret. Stop that train and see me again. Stop these tears from the first time you went away. In your eyes there's goodbye, but you ain't got nothing to say. A whistle stopped just to pass me by with the wind. Didn't want to stay so long, yeah. Mama didn't want to end it, no. Stop that train and see me again. Stop these tears from the first time you went away. In your eyes, there's goodbye. You ain't got nothing to say. The whistle stopped just to pass me by with a wave. Whistle stopped just to pass me by with a wave. Whistle stopped just to pass me by with a wave. Whistle stopped just to pass me by with a wave. Woo! Can we stay through our guitar? Woo! Song was written by a gentleman from Alabama. The name of the song is Everybody Needs Love
Eddie Hinton.
by Eddie Hinton.
There it is.
One day we could dream on when the working day is done. Stars we can wish upon with the setting of the sun. Sunsets we can cry over, put our troubles on the run. With more than all these miracles above good people, we need love. Everybody needs love, love, love. Everybody sing. Everybody needs love, love, love. Everybody needs to love, love. Just like they need the sun and moon and stars up above. Ain't nobody around happiness, living their life all alone. I used to believe I didn't need nobody to be happy on my own. One sad day, trouble found me, we can have. Oh, I didn't have no friends. Long came the love of a real good man. He said, Betty, I will love you till the end. Everybody needs love. Everybody needs love. the sun and moon and above. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Thank you. Andrew will be with you in a moment. Thank you, Curtis. Hi, guys. Dakota.
Huh? Rather than just me reading in the kitchen by myself drinking the bronies, right? I forgot to mention, Curtis is also a teacher, like me, right? He's a guitar teacher. If you're looking for guitar lessons, he does them on Zoom and in person. How do they get in touch with you, Curtis?
Nice and easy. The CJS Ltd at Gmail. The CJS Ltd.
Curtis J Social.
That's it. The CJS Ltd.
LTD. Right? I mean, I'd never picked up a guitar until he taught me just 2 days ago. All
That's
that.
right.
Like 2 days. he was like, ding. Cool. I'm going to show you how to make these lamb chops, all right? And then we're going to eat. All right. This light's going to go off. You're going to follow me. If it gets a little bit bumpy, we're just walking around the kitchen here. This is Danny. He is Betty's manager. And our AV guy tonight. He's our Sophia tonight. So, I'm hoping this is looking good here. Let's see. There's my stove. Curtis, there's some prosecco right here.
Oh, there you go.
Okay. These lamb chops have been in there for 2 minutes. I'm turning them over. They look like golden color. Hopefully, I'll bring the camera closer in a minute, or I can't burn the chops in the process. Right? Don't burn the steak, like he says in Raging Bull, right? I gotta feed my people here. So I have these beautiful lamb chops, which, as you can see here, I breaded. I put them in egg wash and breaded. They're single chops that I cleaned up from a full rack, right? Scraped out all the sinew and stuff from the bones. Cut them into individual chops, dip them in breadcrumbs, right? Egg first, then breadcrumbs, and then I can fry them. Let me fry it. You can see that, right? Oh yeah, and you hear it too, right? You know it's the right temperature. I don't need to check the temperature. I can tell by the sound that's a good temperature. 2 minutes per side, that's it. In the passage from the book, Randy Redford turned up her nose at the anchovy sauce. I made the anchovy sauce. It's phenomenal. It goes so good. It's just 3 cloves of garlic and about 10 anchovy fillets from a jar, blended with some olive oil, and it cuts through all the unctuousness of the fry, but you don't have to put it on if you don't want to. Right? We'll still be friends if you don't want the anchovy sauce. Right? Adjust this camera here. Okay. These are almost done. Nope, not yet. They're going to cook. In a minute. I'll tell you about the wine we're going to have. They drank Chianti Classico in the passage from the book, right? Guess what? Chianti Classico, right? My favorite everyday Italian red wine is from the Classico region of Chianti in Tuscany. It's phenomenal. This is a really good, not everyday wine. This is like a special occasion wine that's not like crazy expensive. So we have a Chianti Classico to drink, just like they did. While these are going through here, what I'm going to do when I finish, when they're done, is adorn them with lemon wedges, right? Because lemon is great on top of fried things, right? It helps brighten the flavor and cut through all that fat. And then there's also some fresh rosemary to put on top. Along the side, right, you gotta have a zesty salad, right? I have an arugula, tomato, and onion salad with a vinaigrette I made. With the lemon juice and some vinegar and this amazing olive oil I discovered this year. X-Owl is how you say it. It's EXAU. They're an olive oil company, partially owned, half owned by an American woman and her Italian husband, and they make olive oil out of Calabria, right? And it's phenomenal. You should go up to their website, exau.com, right, and try and order some of this incredible olive oil. I don't cook with this. I'm not using this for this, right? I use it for salad dressings to anoint things at the end, okay? I'm almost there. How do you want to eat? Oh yeah, we're ready. See? These are done. Right? I'm going to stack them up here. Cross the bones over each other. A little presentation action. Right? Well, get ready to put the next batch in. Make like a tower. Okay. A little fresh salt. Yeah, up high, I know. Right? some lemon wedges for us when we eat them, and of course I'll put some fresh rosemary on there, right? I'm gonna sprinkle of rosemary. Show you how this looks. This is half of what we're gonna make. Okay. Gives a little presentation. Can you see it? Yeah, yeah. Everybody sees this? Right. Fried lamb chops, y'all.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. All right, we're gonna eat. I'm gonna cook the other half of this batch. We're gonna eat. I'm gonna say goodnight to you guys, okay? I need my glasses to turn this off. I'm gonna finish here on Facebook. Thank you all so very much. I wish you a happy, happy 2021. All good things to us. All good things to us in person, right? No matter where we are, I give you my love and my appreciation, and that's all I want, right? Have a good night. Peace. I don't know how to turn this one off. Did it?
Oh.
What's that say, Dan? Can you read that?
Share a photo or video with your viewers.
Let's do it.
Okay.
You're still
I think you're still on.
Oh, wow.
Still on.
Hey, hey, I can't go away.
You're getting enough of it.
I think I'm off now. Yeah, I'm off now. What's that say?
Are you sure you want to end your video?
Yes.
Yeah.